Hello, my name is John Burris. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about the heart. This video is called "The Heart Has Become a Weapon for War." It's a really important video that we all need to hear and learn about as I explore the heart, the history of the anatomy of the heart, and share with you some new and exciting ideas about the heart as we move forward. I'll be dispelling some of the myths that were created, some of the lies created, and some of the institutions that are responsible for that. So in this video, I'll be taking a deeper dive into the dimensions of the heart, sharing with you anatomy that comes from many different places in the world and many different angles. And it shares with you that, yes, in 1648, William Harvey in England discovered that the heart was a pump. And it did definitely pump blood through the body. And it was primarily responsible for our circulatory system. At the time, that was a great discovery. However, in the last 400 years, that's about all we know about the pump according to Western scientific anatomy. Well, the heart's much more than just a dumb, stupid pump. And unfortunately in our culture, we've turned the heart into a weapon to train, to harden, to deaden, to basically be a war weapon. And the more your heart is conditioned, the more you can defeat the combatants. You can conquer people and destroy people the more conditioned your heart is. The problem is it's turned our culture into a heartless culture, a culture with a dead heart. And whatever we're doing to exercise and treat our heart will reflect into our attitudes towards our culture. However you perceive your own human body is how you'll perceive the world. If you feel that your body is something that needs to be conquered, then you'll see the world as something to be conquered as well. And that's what we've been doing. So we've turned our heart into a weapon for war, and it's turned our culture into war cultures. And there's ways to change that, though. Hundreds of years ago, we first learned about muscular skeletal anatomy, at least in the Western world, from artists, the Michelangelos, the Da Vinci's, who were basically drawing skeletons and bodies, and they were also anatomists. They were working with the Catholic Church, for example, in Europe, and they were helping to dissect bodies and discover things inside. And then we have the work of Henry Gray and Gray's Anatomy in England about 200 years ago, where he was basically learning about the body by human dissection, creating his work called Gray's Anatomy, which is still taught today. Well, that's the foundation of our anatomy, about dead bodies and dead tissue. And that's how most medical doctors learn about the body, through dead tissue. And the problem is we're more than that. And as a body worker, a body-mind therapist, and a yoga teacher, I teach living anatomy, new anatomy. Most of anatomy today is called dead anatomy, and it's old anatomy that's hundreds of years old. So in new anatomy, we'll be teaching you that the body is more than just a stupid pump, and there are ways to make your heart healthy without having to train it. So a couple of interesting things happened. About 300 years ago, René Descartes created the Cartesian model, that the body was a machine and we're all different separate parts that didn't talk to each other and the parts can be replaced. That's basically the foundation of Western scientific medicine these days. And what it did, it created this system where the heart is just a stupid organ that can be taken in and out and replaced if you could. And it didn't talk to anything else, and it didn't communicate with anything else. It was just its own pump lying in the center of your chest. And that's pretty much how we see the body today. The heart's just a dumb pump. And this is our vision of the body today. These organs are separate. The heart's slightly to the left, but it's about the size of a grapefruit. And it pushes blood throughout the body, and it does that. Basically, its foundation is a pump, but it's so much more than that. So this is how Western science sees the human body. The heart's just a pump about in the middle of your chest that just pumps blood. And we're taught to train the heart. We're taught to push the heart and train the heart and condition the heart in order for us to be healthy. That is a mistake. Yes, I grew up at a time early on, I played sports. We had to get in shape. We had to run and lift weights. And it's simple. We didn't measure our heart. We weren't concerned and worried about having a heart attack because we weren't in shape. But a dramatic thing happened when I was 18. A medical doctor named Dr. Kenneth Cooper, who basically started this revolution, this industrial complex per se. And Dr. Kenneth Cooper was a NASA medical doctor putting astronauts in space. And Dr. Kenneth Cooper wrote a book called Aerobics, published in 1968. And that book took off like wildflowers. And what it did, it created a mandate that everybody in the world needed to condition their heart 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week, or else we're all going to die of heart attacks. Kenneth Cooper told us that. He said, he created a theorem. It says you take the number 220, you subtract your age, and that's your maximum heart rate. So you're trying to get to a point for 20 to 30 minutes, 60 to 80% of your maximum heart rate, or you'll die. That's what he told us. I believed it. I'd take an aerobic class and push myself as hard as I can, stop, check my pulse, and see if I was in my target heart rate. I'd go run for a 5-mile run. Stop, check my heart rate. I do a 50-mile bicycle ride uphill. Stop, check my heart rate. Just go for a mile swim as fast as I could to make sure I was pushing my heart. Because Dr. Cooper told me that if I didn't push my heart to my maximum training level, I was going to die of a heart attack. He did it. Not just for me, it started the tennis craze, the running craze, the triathlon craze, the marathon craze. All these boot camps were the foundation came from Dr. Kenneth Cooper. And here's a picture of the cover of Dr. Kenneth Cooper's book, Aerobics, that started the whole heart training revolution. You're going to die of a heart attack unless you train your heart. So here's what happened after the 1968 publication of Dr. Kenneth Cooper's book, Aerobics. We had a revolution. It became an industrial complex. Supplement companies, heart supplements, gyms, health clubs, boot camps, trainings, triathlons, running clubs, all designed around training your heart, training your heart, training your heart. Now, fitness is also, if you want to lose weight, it also is helpful. But if you're just doing heart training because you believe it's going to save your heart, here's what people don't realize. Most people who live the longest don't have a heart-trained heart. They don't have a healthy heart. They don't go out running, doing aerobics. The people who live the longest don't train their heart. People who have the best heart training don't necessarily live the longest. So there's a paradox there. And here's what people don't realize. And I don't know, I found this by mistake. It was gifted to me. I found a copy of Fit magazine, the year 2000 April edition. In that copy, it says the interviewer was talking to Dr. Kenneth Cooper about aerobics, and he asked Dr. Cooper 35 years later, he says, does it work? Does aerobics save your heart? And Dr. Cooper said no, and the interviewer was floored. This is the exact quote in Fit magazine, April 2000, from Dr. Kenneth Cooper. What made me change my mind was telephone calls from distraught widows whose husbands had followed my guidelines and had died of heart attacks, says Dr. Cooper. I now recommend walking at any speed for 30 minutes 3 times a week. I used to think that to be exercising aerobically, you had to be in your target heart rate or you're wasting your time. So here's what's astonishing. The man who created aerobics, who created this industrial complex, now says, I don't agree with it anymore. I don't think it works. Why didn't that become front page news? Well, follow the money trail. You think the media would have picked up on that, became every story, but guess what would happen? If the media got that information out there, just think how many people would be out of work, how many supplement companies, how many gyms and health clubs would be closing, and people would say, hey, you know what, I don't need to do this. How many designers of shoes, athletic shoes and sporting good wear would be out of business because people weren't going to the gym anymore. So Dr. Cooper, who started the aerobics trend in 2000, now says, I don't agree with it anymore. Why didn't we get that memo? We're still training our heart to be a weapon for war, even after Dr. Cooper said, I don't believe it works. So I just started collecting data. I have friends of mine who are incredibly fit who died of heart attacks. I have clients of mine who 28-year-old professional bicyclists died of heart attack. I see stories every day. A couple weeks ago, a 28-year-old marathon runner died of a heart attack. I have stories of medical doctors, cardiologists, runners die of a heart attack. There's famous authors who die of heart attacks. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, maybe it really isn't working. Because if all these people who are fit, who have a high level of cardiovascular fitness are still dying of heart attacks, then what's really going on? So I had to dig deeper. And then part of it is our perception of our own anatomy is incorrect. We're still thinking about the body as a dumb, stupid body, and the heart's just a dumb, stupid pump. In order to heal the heart, we have to step outside of that into new anatomy and much deeper awareness of the body. One of the resources I discovered was a book by Peg Jordan called The Fitness Instinct. She was an emergency room nurse and just was befuddled how many young, fit men were being wheeled in with heart attacks. She says this can't be happening. All these cardiovascular fit men are coming into the emergency room with heart attacks. How could this be? So I echoed that. My time working in the emergency rooms as an EMT, I would talk to medical doctors and nurses and the alarming rate of fit people coming in with heart attacks. Here's what people don't realize. In the emergency room, Friday and Saturday night are war zones because the doctors and nurses are ready for trauma because people are out drinking, there's car crashes, there's drunk driving crashes, people are having fights, there's gun fights, there's knife fights, fist fights. So it's trauma nights. Saturday and Friday night are trauma nights. But guess what happens on Sunday night? Doctors and nurses prepare the emergency room for, you know what? Monday morning heart attacks. Because the greatest time in America that you're likely to have a heart attack is between 4 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Monday morning. You're thinking, wow, no matter how much cardiovascular fitness you have, no matter how low your cholesterol is, Monday morning is the greatest time in America you're going to have a heart attack. How can that be possible? It's possible because we don't understand the emotions in the heart. Monday morning, people who hate their job have to get up and go to work. At a job they hate, a boss they hate, a commute they hate, they're not making enough money, they're not appreciated. And guess what happens? Their heart explodes because medical doctors don't understand emotions and how emotions are stored in the heart, and we just turn the heart into a weapon to train. People don't realize as well that you're 27% more likely to have a heart attack the week before or the week after your birthday because you're afraid of getting old. Because we don't understand emotions because we just think about the heart as a dumb, stupid pump. Another important resource is a book called The Heart's Code by Paul Pearsall, where he talks about how essentially, when you transplant a heart into a new patient, the new patient has all kinds of new memories and dreams and new realities. So the information, the energy, and the emotions of the person who died is now transferred to the new person. Why would I want to destroy my heart with all this conditioning when it was also a library of sensory and emotional information? So here's what I've learned. The first 30 years of my life, I was an athlete. I did all kinds of sports and competitions, and I trained my heart, I trained my body, and it caused hardness, tightness, stored emotions, stored energy. And then when I started practicing yoga and other movement specialties and functional movement, expansive movement, I started to unwind the trapped energy in my heart. I'd be in a yoga class and all of a sudden start sobbing. I'd be doing a stretch and all of a sudden tears or pain would come through me as I was releasing the trauma from my body. So I started to stretch through and open my heart. The fitness model is a heart closing model where we're training the heart to compete and to conquer and to destroy. The more conditioned the heart is, the more battles you can win. Where the yoga practice is about opening your heart up, expanding the energy through your heart, having more love, more feeling, more sensation, where we're not trying to shut down feeling. You know, when an athlete says they have a high pain tolerance, what they've done, they've gone numb. What the yoga experience did for me, it allowed me to feel more, allowed me to have more feeling sensations, and I opened up the energy in my heart, the energy all through my body. So it's a completely different practice. Our current model of training the heart turns us into warriors where we're deadening the heart. This is the current model of what we perceive as health. This is actually a heart that's buried under a suit of armor. Armored fascia and muscles protecting the heart, containing the heart, keeping the heart contained and hard and tight and rigid and unfeeling and unsensing. This is the model we're taught to be, but this is not a healthy heart model. And this is the current model we're using here. So if this is your thorax here, this is your diaphragm in yellow, the pink is your lungs, and here's your heart. The heart and the diaphragm are connected. And so when you breathe correctly, as you inhale, the diaphragm pulls down and it pulls on the heart and it goes back up. So you breathe correctly, the diaphragm pulls down, stretches your lungs open, pulls on the heart. And then as you exhale, oops, heart fell off there. Your heart, it moves with the stretch. So as you're breathing correctly, your heart and your diaphragm are moving together and you're stretching the healthy heart. What happens is this. We basically create a situation where we put a layer of hard muscle on our abdomen. Here it's called core work. And now guess what happens when you breathe? You can't move from your diaphragm anymore. You have to breathe from your upper lungs. It's called the breath of stress. So your diaphragm doesn't move correctly and your heart doesn't get stretched. So you're creating more heart problems. There's studies done by people, it was quoted in a book from Donna Farhi in the breathing book, that men who had previous heart attacks only breathed from their upper chest because their diaphragm and heart didn't move. So in order to have a healthy heart, you have to be able to use your diaphragm. And if your core is locked in place, your diaphragm doesn't move, your heart doesn't move, your heart doesn't get that seesaw massage where it's required for a healthy heart. So what we're doing in the fitness model, we're locking our diaphragm in place. Our heart gets locked in place because it's all connected. It doesn't get that healthy massage and you're creating more heart issues because your heart is not massaged with each breath. That's what the fitness model is doing. People don't realize as well, when I played sports and conditioned my heart for training, my heart was pounding out of my chest all the time, but I had to push because Dr. Cooper told me to. I had to train my heart. And I realized when I started getting body work and doing yoga that I had so many layers of hard tissue on my chest and heart that I had to peel through all the time. But here's what people don't realize. So when people are seeking out the runner's high, after 20 minutes or so, whether you're working out hard, running, cycling, swimming, you get a euphoric sense. And that's what a lot of people who are training their heart look for. The runner's high is actually a stress response. Your body's in a distress state. It believes you're in danger. It's no different than a bear chasing after you. And so it's a stress response. So in a stress response, your body is flooded with stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, testosterone. And that gives you the runner's high. And people think, well, that's cool, I get the runner's high. The problem is if you train a lot, overtrain sometimes, your body is filled with cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So if you're a runner who runs 5 miles a day, your body's filled with cortisol. And you now have perhaps cortisol toxicity. You know what the side effects of cortisol toxicity is? Hardening of your arteries. So your running could be a factor in why your arteries are hardening because you're creating stress responses that are creating more cortisol, leading to hardening of your arteries. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but it certainly happens sometimes if you train a lot because you're looking for a stress response in your heart. So the shift I made was about 30. I started basically eliminating my gym workouts and doing more yoga. It wasn't just I'm stretching. I'm stretching through the energy fields of my body that were stuck, including my heart energy. And I'm moving through layers of tension and built up trauma and whatnot. And it's a completely different experience. And this is a heart opening yoga sequence here. It's called camel pose. You're not just doing a back bend, you're doing a front opening. You're stretching the energy lines in the front and center of your body and open up fields of energy, which is completely different than what the fitness model is doing, which is putting layers on top of those energy fields. So this is not just a normal back bend. This is a heart opening pose where you're starting to open up the fields of energy and tension that run through the body. So we have to talk about fascia tissue. Well, most medical doctors don't understand fascia. It's much more than just dead tissue that cut out in surgery. It has a whole life to it. And so what happens is your body is filled with this fascia tissue. It's like the white stuff in an orange. It goes everywhere. So there's also layers of it that run through the body. It's kind of like saran wrap. It runs through the body and it connects everything together. That's why I said your diaphragm and your heart are connected. The fascia is connecting everything together. What's also happening is this. Fascia becomes the pathway for chi, which is a life force battery energy to run through the body. So when you're doing a yoga back bend, you open up this line of fascia chi that runs through the body. What happens is when it's blocked, it stops. And what yoga's doing, you're starting to open up these fields in the body that are much different than Western scientific anatomy. It comes from Eastern anatomy, from the Hindu tradition and the Chinese tradition, where you're starting to see fields of energy. So you're starting to open up your heart energy when you're in a yoga pose. It's not just about conditioning the heart. You're trying to enhance the energy in the heart, the chi, and you're also removing the blockages from the fear and the trauma and the worry and all the hate you've stored in your heart. You're trying to open that up and become a human being again rather than just a workout dude. So this is part of what we're doing in the yoga experience. We're opening up the fields of energy in the heart and other organs. It's a much healthier practice than going out on your 5-mile run every day. And this comes to us from Eastern anatomy. This is a picture of some of the chakras or energy fields in the body. We have these balls of energy that go up and down the spine, the kundalini energy along the spine that connects everything together. They're important fields of energy that gather information inside for us and release information. It's a whole other way of thinking about the body. When you basically train your heart, you're shutting down some of these fields. And here's another version of the heart energy. This is green. And these chakras are these basically balls of energy that are all connected together through the fascia network and other networks. And they need to be open. When you close them down, you shut down the life force battery in the body. So one of the things I did in my life, I transitioned from the warrior athlete who was looking for combat to the heart-opening human being who cared about love and intention rather than defeating and knocking people down. When I joined yoga classes, I'm in a room full of 50 or 100 people. I'm not trying to dominate somebody. I'm not trying to conquer somebody, to hurt somebody. There's no ambulance waiting for us after class, as there are in morning sports, waiting to pick up the dead and dying bodies. I wasn't interested in training my heart. Yes, my heart works sometimes if I'm on a hike, but it wasn't my intention. I wasn't stopping to check my heart rate. If I went for a swim in the ocean, I wasn't stopping to check my heart rate, and I might be getting some conditioning at the same time. But my intention was different, to open up my heart, move through the trauma store there, all the hard tissue I built up at the gym, which is, we call that body armor, energetic armor that prevents you from feeling. And ultimately, when the fascia is blocked in those tissues, it starts to block the heart energy as well. So I transitioned to a completely different person by not training my heart anymore. And the first thing I realized was, I don't believe Dr. Kenneth Cooper anymore, who started the revolution. He started an industrial complex. And the problem with the industrial complex is the initial idea. It's like a pyramid scheme. If the initial idea is wrong, then everything that follows must be wrong too. So we've had this industrial complex based on one person's idea that he now recants. Why aren't we listening? And the way you treat your body is how you treat the world. If you see your body as something that needs to be conquered, you will conquer other human beings in other places in the world. That's how we view the body. So this is an important message because I believe the last 50 years we've gone in the wrong direction. And it's killing us. I mean, not just because the people are having heart attacks, because as a society we look for the heart to be weaponized. We're weaponizing our heart to destroy and to dominate. I think that's a big mistake for humanity. So the fact is we can change this. We can turn our hearts into a loving entity, a center for information, for intelligence, for emotion. Remember, your heart's full of emotion. Why are we deadening it? Why are we burying it? Heart attacks aren't just about cholesterol or cardiovascular training. They're the emotions stored in your heart. And most medical doctors don't study emotion. It's out of their line of work. But it's important to understand how emotions get trapped in the heart, how energy gets trapped in the heart. So thank you for joining me today in this short video on the heart has become a weapon for war. We can change our bodies and we can change our society and the world by looking at how we view our hearts. I don't believe we should be training our hearts the way we're taught to train our hearts. As Dr. Kenneth Cooper says, he doesn't believe it works. Well, neither do I. So it's time to re-examine a whole new way of being in the world. Thank you for joining me today for this short video. I hope you appreciate it. If you'd like to learn more about me, I have a great book called Return to Nature, the 5 Pillars of Healing. You can find it at my website, johnburris.com, amazon.com, or barnesandnoble.com. Please subscribe to my newsletter for more leading edge videos to come, as there's lots of new ideas that are stemming forth. Thank you for watching today.